missing. I found our missing sandbag.
Yeah, they disappeared in the middle of the night. These trucks that said Trent Hills on them took off all the bags.
Did you get them all in?
My understanding is that we have them all. 6,000. I wanted to bring Neil up to. We picked this location because these are the bags from Belleville, some of them. I wanted to thank Neil and the folks of the City of Belleville and all the volunteers that came in to help Belleville. They had some extra bags after their flood water started to recede, and they generously donated them to Trent Hills. And it was just an opportunity to share our stories and to thank those people on behalf of the citizens of the municipality of Trent Hills.
I don't know where he's got it here.
Mutual aid is enacted throughout Northumberland County, and Hastings County has one. So each county has their own mutual aid system. So if there's a major incident within that county, then you call upon, say we needed a truck from Cobourg, then we may call their platform up from Cobourg to help us out, or Brighton, or vice versa. So we move within the county quite freely, and it works quite well. In this event, we've actually did something that's uncharted territory. It's actually, we've gone from Hastings County to Northumberland County, and using vital bags that bailed us out. We would have got the job done, but it would have been an extraordinary feat to fill the bags and place them. We ended up getting 6,000 from Belleville that did, and we've used them all. We've actually placed over 15,000 bags. So, in total? In total. Yeah. So that really bailed us out. And as a county coordinator, I pass sometimes when things happen, you can't be coordinator of your own, the county when you're busy here. So I passed it off to Gene. Gene became the acting coordinator. He's an alternative. Anyways, he took over that role. And when he found out what we gave, and I said we need some bags, so we could use that. So he got on the phone with Bruce, and they discussed the possibility they had some sitting there. So that's how it all came to pass. They set it up. Gene says we got 6,000. All you got to do is pick them up. We sent down flatbed trucks. Bruce had the loader there. They loaded them on the truck. It just was clockwork. So I'll let them speak. It was last Wednesday. Thursday, I think we started talking, and we picked them up on Friday.
Oh, it's about communities helping communities, and the volunteers that we had out were from all areas. And you know, the thing about this is some of those sandbags, I imagine, were actually sandbagged for people in the Trent Hills area, because we had people from, I've seen Quinny West jackets on, Trent Hills, Kitchener, all over, and we had well over 1,500 volunteers. So to have the bags be able to be used instantly, I know the last flood that we went through in Hector, also it was always having enough bags, you know, when it ended. And if anybody would have phoned me during our flood and said we had filled sandbags, it would have been just a relief. So I knew the extras. When we were winding it down, we thought, well, we had the volunteers there, we get the extras in case it did rain over the 2 days and the water went up. There wasn't a forecast of rain, and basically we thought if we weren't going to use them, we knew in the last flood that up here usually goes a week later than us in Quinny West, and it was a good call because they're well used, and I think it saved your, you know, helped your community, which we're all one community when you look at it.
Yeah. So like Tim said, Tim's the coordinator for Northumberland County, and I'm his alternate. So Tim busy with his situation here. He's got going, he passed it on to us. We have a network with Hastings County, with Bruce and I, and all the chiefs really work well together. So just knowing the circumstances in Wire River dropped down 1.5 feet, and there wasn't a real need for the extra sandbags they had, so Bruce said, well, they're more than welcome to take them. So it all worked out well.
Yeah, it did work out well. And the mutual aid system, that's the, I guess the beauty of the mutual aid system in Hastings County and in the Northumberland. Like the Chief was saying, it's rare that we go across counties. It does happen though. The ice storm was one good example where you have some cross-county cooperation within the fire mutual aid. Because when you take a look at it, there's tremendous resources there within the county, municipalities, and from county to county we work together on large incidents like the floods, ice storms in the past years. Another one, big fire in Kingston. There was some cross-county responses to other municipalities as well. So when Gene made the call, we checked with the mayor just to make sure that we were good to go on that and supply that support to this area. So it worked out good.
Our community right now, and the same as your community, we've had volunteers come out, like numerous volunteers, business donations, cash, food, trucks, equipment. We've had a great expense to our city budget also. So our city taxpayers have given, you know, with emergency service, with supplies. Our commercial businesses, it's easier probably to say the ones that didn't donate. Everybody coming. We had food for 1,500 people, and it just kept coming and coming. And then we've had all the volunteers. So it's hard to ask people, I believe, to go out now and raise funds. And what you've got to do is a 2-to-1 ratio. So it has to be arm's length from us. It's going to have to be an organization that goes out. Then they're going to have to administer the funds. And then for every $2 they raise, the government will bring $1 in. We've had some fundraising people started already. But that's going to take some time, and there's marginalized people in our community that they're going to have a great amount of bills. So that's my major concern right now, and then in the longer term, I think as it rolls out, it's the same as everybody's concerns that are around the whole flood area is the short term, the long term, and is this going to be something that happens for you? It's been, what, we were 4 years, what, 2008, 6 years?
So some of the things that come out of it, and we have started, you used to meet as the coordinators met within yourself. So Gene and I would meet, and we'd have chief associations. So what we've even expanded on that now, we actually are meeting with Hastings County, Peterborough County, and we're trying to bring in Durham County. Okay. So Prince Edward's in there, and then meet together as counties. So this kind of stuff in the future is exactly what Bruce is saying. We can actually now, we have those contacts, that network's there, and we're not afraid to call up and say, and we know that assistance there, whether it be sandbags, whether it be vehicles, portable pumps, we have that. And that's where we want the message out to people that, from me personally, because they actually saved our guys a lot of work by having them bagged. We were able to just deliver them, so they just had to place before the day there. They were bagging on scene, so they're bagging and placing, so they got them there. So it was tremendous help. And all these bags you see here are all Belleville bags.
Mitigator. Well, they're two different watersheds, so we've got two different unique situations. In Trent Hills, we think that there's something wrong with the way the water is being managed on the Trent Severn system. The winter we just had was an every winter occurrence. It was an every year occurrence. Yeah, sure, even up in the 70s, and we never have flooding like this. It's almost becoming predictable who's going to get it next, because one year it's in the south, the next year it's in the north, now it's back to the south. The only one that's not really getting hit hard is Peterborough, and of course that's where Trent Severn's head office is. So,
Holy jumping!
trying not to sound too much like a conspiracy theorist, I'm beginning to wonder.
I got my Our water depends on a lot of dams up Lingham Lake and up in the Three Rivers flowing together, but it's the same as Hector. These floodings are starting to reoccur, and I've lived in the area all my life in Belleville, and as I say, to be involved in the two biggest floods, there's something going on.
I guess so.
Yeah, I went to John Cam with the Brighton Independent.
We had everybody on standby last week. We used mutual aid within our county on Wednesday night. We brought in 5 firefighters from 5 stations each to do a bit more bagging in the Green Acres area.
Like 5 from each
Station, or each department within the county. 5 departments showed up to help out with 5 guys each, and then a couple guys from Trent Hills went to kind of show them where the spot was. So that was the only time we've really enacted any mutual aid from Northumberland County, but we had everybody on emergency standby right from the start. Gene sent him an email and asked to have 4 guys from each station ready to respond at any given time in case we had to get into an evacuation situation. We didn't know what the water levels can do, if they were going to go real fast, so that was something else Gene did. And then there we had that all kind of ready to go, so that on a moment's notice. So it was, mutual aid was really utilized a lot in this that people really didn't see, but it was there and ready to be enacted.
This winter was a normal winter from when we were, growing up, and we, obviously winters haven't been as severe, but we didn't have these floods back then. part of conservation feel that there has to be some assets put into the conservation, and again, conservation are funded by the municipalities, so it's that circle. Conservation does need some better mapping. I believe they need some probably money to look at how they fix it infrastructurally wise, whether that's creating better marshlands or more absorbent marshlands, whether it's through letting households put more berms or change the front of the houses. It's very strict on the conservation. I think right now conservation are willing to come to the table and look at how we can look at individual houses and go from there, and then look farther upstream at bigger infrastructure problems. But it's going to take all the governments to get involved in this, and I think right now, do we just let it happen again and happen again? I think conservation and around our emergency table, I think as leaders we need to look at this, and I think that was our message, through to the province and to everybody, that when we sit down this time, we've got to sit down and be, we were proactive to get out in front of it, but let's be even more proactive and fix the root cause.
Our biggest problem right now is the water levels are stabilized. They are using the word stabilized with us. The biggest challenge we're going to have this weekend, we just had one, was where some pump was going over the dam like that, and it eroded on the bottom, so the water started coming underneath. So the guys had to. So that's going to be our main concern over the weekend, and that's why we have mutual aid on standby. Is if one of the bags start to break, then we get more failures, because some of them are over 3 feet high. So that's our major concern this weekend. If the water level stabilized, we're hoping it's over. Yes, at least the rising waters are over. The waters, obviously, as you've heard the mayor speak to, is here for a while. So
We need to look at it seriously, because the conservation authorities are just adamantly opposed to anyone improving their property, which would enhance flood protection. Like if you were to put a shovel of dirt here, it'd be the end of the world for the conservation authorities. But in all reality, we have homes to protect. They should be raised or core walls put in. But the conservation authorities can be very difficult to deal with on those things. If there was any environmental impact damage done many years ago when these structures were put in, that's long come and gone. We need to improve the property so that people can have not only their property but their lives protected. And the conservation authorities don't seem to really care too much about private property damage or injury to personal life. And we have to get that message through that the problem is here, and we just can't keep sloughing it off and think it's going to go away.
And I guess, as a city, we've got to look at, and I know for smaller municipalities, this is a huge budget item. And it's a huge budget item. Does that all of a sudden be a yearly budget item for us? So we look at it, a couple $1 million in infrastructure costs for us represents, straight out if we were to put on the taxes, a 3% tax increase. Now, again, with us, it means delaying other projects and going down that road. When you have smaller municipalities and they're into that figure, it might relate to 10 or 15%. So you've got projects that now Trent Hills aren't going to be able to do. And whether Trent Hills has a couple $100,000 into this flood, that represents a huge impact to a small municipality, and it delays your roads, it's going to delay bridges, and it's going to delay, buying snowplows, fire trucks, and everything. So it just backs up your infrastructure issue. And you look at this. We're having one of these every term of mayor. So do we put this into our budget now? Approximately $2 to $3 million into a disaster relief fund for the Moira River, and I think that's what your council probably has to think too.
Well, and our council's having our struggles with that, because, as you know, flood-proofing private property is not a municipal responsibility. There is, however, understandably, an expectancy from the public that we'll come out and help them, and we're doing that. But at what point does it become a bona fide municipal program and you start putting in line item budgets for the coverage? I have other members of the municipality, like other residents who are saying, hey, those people live in a flood zone. How come my property taxes are paying for that?
They knew the risk. Is that
And they're saying buyer beware. So it's a difficult situation. I think we need to help people, but I think we need to sit down and take a strong, hard look at to what degree.
We started Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock on whatever day that was before, and we were done yesterday. We quit sandbagging yesterday at 11, so that's 8 days straight.
That's
So
pretty
that
much
was a
the
long
whole
weekend.
60 whatever.
Yeah, probably 14-hour days. Yeah.
15-hour day.
Yeah.
So that's time away from
We-
work for those guys too then.
Some, yeah,
Yeah.
but most of them were on days off. We catch
Okay.
them when they were on their days off, so it worked out pretty well. Yeah. But then they had to do bagging all day, and then they go to work at night. So that's why I say back to without Belleville support and this effort of partnership, and we're going to grow on this now because and it's the same as we've talked about a lot in Trent Hills, is getting the firefighters to work together. How much bonus that is. So now we're doing that. We're expanding, making it bigger. So yeah, those guys from Trent Hills are all right, and those guys from Belleville are all right. So the partnerships are getting better.
Now, one thing council was adamant about this year is that we are not returning to pick up sandbags. And some of that is from poor past experience. In
They're going to be
2008,
phoning me and say, these are all Belleville sandbags,
Well-
I gotta come get them.
we had people coming and demanding that we pick the bags up, and we weren't even out of a state of emergency yet. And when we did, and trucks backed in, there was, the lawns being wet and soft. Then they demanded that we come back and fix the ruts in their lawn. I mean, come on, we saved your home, and now you want us to do your landscaping? So, unfortunately, for a few people, that made a lot of, it made it a poor experience for a lot of other people. And when you consider that volunteers came out in 2008 from the schools, from church groups, from all over Ontario, mostly from Belleville.
Is there any TV on this one, or what's this media here? You're gonna have to do a lot of editing here, right?
Well, we did have donations from Belleville. Belleville Home Depot donated to us. How do we say to people that who have an expectancy that we're going to call for those volunteers out again to protect private property? And absolutely, everybody comes out one year. Ask them to come out every year. They're not going to come.
Yeah.
They were real. The two lads here were Bruce and Gino were very instrumental in getting this started, and I thank them very much because they did a lot of work from phone calls behind, and all I'd do is pick the phone up and say, Bruce, the truck will be there in an hour, and the truck was back. So for me, it was pretty simple. Yes.
Public Works helped you.
Well, Public Works certainly, for the City of Belleville. Again, for our experience, the firefighters in Public Works worked hard. We were 2 weeks working in the Foxborough, Plainfield, Matt area, sandbagging at along the Wire River. So our firefighters worked hand in hand with our Public Works crews there. So it was long days. The task was big. It seemed to be never ending at sometimes, but the long days.
I think that's a message from Trent Hills too. That was a partnership we never had before, John. They were working hand in hand with firefighters, so they were actually getting to see what each other had to
Public Works
experience.
and fire.
Exactly, like working like that. I think they were actually experienced, okay, here's what fire is up against. And the fire guys got to see what Public Works are up against, because now they've got people complaining about roads not being graded or potholes or whatever. So, and they could see what we were up against. So I think that was a big partnership in both areas.
And I guess even our councillors were involved. Like the mayor was out filling out bags. A number of councillors were out filling out bags, and then getting out into the community. And it was certainly a community event. There was a tremendous support from volunteers as well. I know Belleville's experience. Something like 1,300 people registered just to fill bags and help out with the effort to sandbag. So, it's a lot of work, but again, a lot of community support back home, at least from my experience.
And then the other thing you got that a lot of people have mentioned, with going out and raising funds for this, it's going to take away from our other agencies. Right now,
That's right.
And I think you see up here, there's a lot of good causes out there, and they're not funded by government, and they're raising funds, whether it's any of the agencies, and you know, some of them do have government fundraising, but they rely on fundraising. It's the hospital equipment, whether it's United Way. So now all of a sudden in our community, we're going to have to raise basically to cover the private property probably well over $1 million to $1.5 million to match the funding. That money has got to be pulled out of somewhere, and then
There's only so much to go around.
and then you look at the amount that even the businesses. So when you have a fundraising, like I think you get door prizes for a dance and all that, it's easier to say the businesses didn't give to us. And we had businesses from not even in our area drop in stuff. I had calls from, you know, we talked shoulder mayors. I had calls from mayors all over the province going, if you need our help, we'll be there. And you know, we had the volunteers, but how often do you, it's every year you can't, then you, it's, there's got to be an end to it. And I think this shows with in our area, 2 huge floods, that everybody needs to sit down and whether the City of Belleville starts to help mitigate these on somehow with the province and with the conservation, that might be less expense to take than having it as an every year budget item and moving forward and spending, you know, millions of dollars each year.
Yeah.
You know, during the ice storm and things that happened around us, we really, you know, this is a big disaster. People in the city have been, you know, we're 10 days in, 12 days in, and there's still no septics, no running water. And you're going to have that for a few more days here.
Yeah, we have to hit recovery stage yet.
And this recovery for us, some of them in the floodplain are going to be 2 to 3 weeks. And we're looking at, you know, I believe when the disaster hit in Toronto, they were treated differently. And, you know, if you want to comment on that, is we're looking for, they need to look at ODRAP and make it that, change it for everybody, not just for this flood. They need to look at the whole picture of the funding. And we're looking at some of the people that we had, and one gentleman in particular, he's 27 years old, just bought his first house, went through the government program with minimum financing, and now he's probably got $50,000 to $75,000 damage, and they're both starting out. We want our youth to stay in our community, and now we're looking at them. They're either going to have to lose their house, look for some type of social assistance, and they're scared. People are scared, and I think all of the people you've seen up here, they don't know, some of them at the end to end, how they're going to get through this when their hydro bills start coming in, when their rental bills for some of the pumps, when all that things hit. There's a lot of you know, $100 bills going out in some households.
Just, you know, about the ice storm, I might as well take a run at it.
Yeah, that's you guys.
You know, we were all impacted in rural Ontario to some extent, and our ice storm costs were around $125,000.
The whole 20.
And there's an expectancy from the province that you've got capacity to look after those minor things, and we did that. But lo and behold, the 2 big cities, Mississauga and Toronto, they partnered together and created a working group and went after the province, and they got millions of dollars for the ice storm.
You talking about the ice storm just last
Yeah, yeah, and there was municipalities down through, even some in Northumberland County that received monies. And where's our share? Rural Ontario is a unique animal compared to the major urban centers. And we need to be treated differently, not because we want to be treated differently, it's because we are different. Our services are different. The amount of population is different. We don't have the dollars that the large urban centers have to repair roads and infrastructure. The OWC has done numerous reports on this, and to raise $1 million in taxes in Toronto is a drop in the bucket. But for us, it's a 12% increase.
It's a bucket.
It's unbelievable, the difference between major urban centers and rural areas where we don't have the population to support those big programs. We need to be treated differently. It was recognized long ago that Northern Ontario needed to be treated differently. And it's about time that Eastern Ontario was treated differently. And I realize that they did give us a funding program through the EODF, but those are for new initiatives. We need something to stabilize where we are now with our infrastructure, because tax rates just keep going up, and it's just not sustainable.